بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعيذنا من شرور أنفسنا. We will translate a few verses of this most blessed surah. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala bless us with the nur of Quran, the understanding of Quran, with love of Quran. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala starts the surah, Taha, Ma anzalna alayka al-Qur'an litashqa, illa tadhkiratan liman yakhsha, tanzeelan mimman khalaqa al-arda was-samawati al-ula. The beginning verse means that we have not sent upon you this Quran to make life difficult for you. Litashqa. Rather, this Quran has been sent to continuously give you advice. Limay yakhsha, on condition that you are a person who has fear of Almighty Allah. We are living in an era where everything has invited towards a land or a world of, at one time they used to call it atheism. Now it is towards Satanism, open Satanism. Shah Walillah Rahimullah wrote that the khuruj of Dajjal will take place, meaning Dajjal will become apparent at that time, when he has gathered so much of power that for him to show himself will not be something shocking. He says he will not make his khuruj appearance until so much of power has been gathered. What was the explanation of that so much of power? One possibility is that the world has to become such that in the mind of every person, that man has to be ready. That if a mighty power comes up in front and he says, I'm your God, and the person says, yes, you are my God. Perhaps 30, 40 years ago, that thing was not there. People were ready for atheism, but not open Satanism. There were certain countries where they were desiring, we want another power. In South Africa, we still never found it. In many of our Muslim lands, we never found it. So that era is still not there. But just recently in South Africa, we were seeing posters going around that become a Freemason, enter Freemasonry. Satan is your God. We will give you the best. In other countries, openly when you drive, you will see an invitation towards Satanism, Freemasonry. What was hidden in the past is no longer being hidden. They're going out of their way to create that mind. They did a lot of it with drugs already. That a person, when he enters into the world of drugs, he's already told your boss is the shaitan. He's happy for it. Because he understands how much of pleasure that man has given me in this life. So how close we are to that khuruj, that appearance of Dajjal, we don't know. But so much of effort is being made that Satanism is now becoming an advertised thing. No longer atheism. No longer modernism. Satanism. Work for the stronger power. Every game will be like that. Every movie will be like that. In school also soon the time will come when they will start inviting you towards that world. That work for a mightier power. So with so much of effort, one thing has always confused these think tanks. Those that are trying to lay out the foundation for it to happen. And that is that when so much has been done, forget Satanism, still in the Muslim world, atheism hasn't hit so badly. There are amongst our friends those that say, I don't think I believe in Allah anymore. But that percentage is still minority. Whereas according to the amount of research and work they have done, it's supposed to be majority. It's not supposed to be this majmaya. But after going through the schooling system, it wasn't supposed to be that a person reaches matric and he's still a Muslim. That matric ball was supposed to be the ball of what we won. That's why that ball was there. That certificate was supposed to be, I give you a certificate that you are ours now. But they found the certificate is being given and that boy is still wearing a turban. The girl is still in an abaya, burqa. They could never understand with so much. So the next step was then bring them into a university. In university, there's no way they can come out clean. And we know what's happening in university. For so many it's adultery, but adultery wasn't what they wanted. They wanted atheism and Satanism. But still we found so many coming out of university and they're still coming out as a Muslimah. The girl is still in parda. The boy is still in kurta. His mind is dirty. His mind is changed. He's filled with thoughts. He's filled with doubts. But in the ending, he's still asking the question. He still wants to go in Jamaat. He still wants to be clean. Why? So the one thing they overlooked was the power of Quran. That even if that child had read little Quran when he was in Maktab, you perhaps might not understand what that Quran did to you. But we saw certain countries where there was no Quran at Maktab. There was no Maktab. The government never allowed it. That individual went through the same schooling process that me and you. But that individual became a more stronger atheist than even the normal Christian. The articles they wrote against Allah, against Islam, whereas they grew up as a Muslim. What made them hate Almighty Allah so much? Why they hated Shariat so much? They went through the same process me and you went through. The only thing is they were never given the chance to read one verse of Quran. Because we had this Quran and we know how little Quran we reach. But in Quran even little is lot. It has put a seed in us in the beginning. That no matter how much of attacks they're making, that seed is just holding. Seed. What a unique seed it is. Every now and then it gives out another plant. So one thought comes in the individual, I need to change. I can't carry on like this. This is Quran. But for this Quran to take us further now, this ayat starts. مَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنِ. That we have not sent the Quran to make life difficult for you. It's a unique lesson in this verse. إِلَّا تَذْكِرَةً لِمَنْ يَخْشَى. If you one who has some fear of Almighty Allah, alhamdulillah, we all got that fear. Even if it's a very small fear, you still call it you fear. None of us are bold enough to say, bring your punishment. That we don't have. Even when we fall in adultery, dirt, filth, porn, the next morning that person still feels bad. Why I did it? That why I did it means what? That he got the fear of Almighty Allah. So that part he already got. And the more that part increases, the more it's going to increase. But at least he got so much. So what are we missing now that Quran to do whatever it has to do? We are missing this one point, litashqa. That Quran hasn't come to make life difficult for you. There's an indication in this verse when you will read Quran without any stress. When you will read Quran without any fikr, without any concern, without any worry. When you will read Quran just for reading Quran, Quran will do miracles for you. We saw a time in South Africa where a maktab system was created, then the hifz system was created. Our hifz system has done miracles in the world. And it was necessary because the shaitani world had made their attack on the other side. But the system that we went through in hifz was not the system Sahaba radiallahu anh went through. When Sahaba radiallahu anh learnt Quran from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and thereafter when Sahaba taught it to Tabi'een, you will never hear in that era there was an ustad sitting with a stick. And you will never hear in that era there was classes starting at this time, you come 5 minutes late, stand. That would never happen in the maktab system. At that time, but we can't do that today, otherwise no one will study. The entire world system is against us. In madrasa we have to punish. A student doesn't come 3 days, we tell him expelled. But you will find in the halaqas of Imam Abu Hanifa, if a student never come, there was no you expelled. Sometimes for 3-4 months you're not there. There the system was, you come when you want to, you go when you want to. And you graduate when you want to. You learn how much you want to, you make door how much you want to. There was never a system of mashaqqat, meaning difficulty. The man came to learn, the day he finished even one page, he was understood as a faqih, a jurist of that page. Quran was for him life. It was food for him. So he would come in hungry, he would drink from Quran and he would go out full. Some would only memorize 5 pages of Quran. But in their village they were known as this man is a man of Quran. 5 pages he memorized. Amongst the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all were not hafiza of the whole Quran. 3 were. But Quran was deep in their hearts. As it came, they rushed to learn. Do you know any of Quran? Teach me something, teach me something. We can't change the system we got in South Africa, otherwise it don't work. If we open up our madrasas and say, come when you want, the system around us doesn't allow it anymore. So we had to create a system which was called by force we will teach you. Because a child who's stubborn because of the food outside and he doesn't want to eat healthy food, the father finally says, by force I will feed you. Otherwise you're not going to eat. We are being at the moment taught by force and we have to be taught. Otherwise we won't learn. But that Quran which we have learned by force, that Quran is not going to give the results what we need, where a person just sits with his Quran with no force. What I am saying here is, if you want to see miracles happening in your life, when your Hifz class is finished, when there is no dars, when you yourself in the masjid open Quran and you got no fikr that this is my door, and if I don't know my door today, I'll get some hiding. When you yourself are making one door of your own Quran, where there's absolutely no pressure on you, where there is no concern and there's no fikr, where the words of the hadith is read Quran while you're enjoying it, and as soon as you get little tired, close it and stand up. When you will read even 5 lines of Quran like that, you will see تَذْكِرَةً لِمَنْ يَخْشَى. This Quran will start giving you advices which you can never imagine. And all of us need it. We all need our door. We all got that fikr, if I don't make Lord door, I'll forget my Quran. That's very good. That we need. Amongst the pious in the past, it was found that they would make 1 khatam of Quran for their hifz. So there they were reading 5-6 juz a day, because I mustn't forget my Quran. Then they were making a 2nd khatam. That 2nd khatam was nothing but love. There, some of them were reading 1 juz a day, some were reading half juz. And then they're making a 3rd khatam. But the 3rd khatam will be more for the ulama, the scholars. Or you can try it. Sometimes it will take them an entire year to make that 1 khatam. Although they were hafiz of Quran. When the students asked, what is the 3rd khatam? They said, the 3rd khatam is when I converse with my Allah in love. At that time they would make a proper wudu. They would put on itar. They would face Qibla. And as the hadith says, do you want to converse in dialogue with Almighty Allah, read Quran. They would sit with only 5 lines maybe. And they would make such a muraqabah, such a thought, and they would read, that sometimes the body would only manage half a page. But in that half a page, they would make an entire conversation with Almighty Allah. Whether they knew the meaning, they never knew the meaning. It was their heart, the Zat of Almighty Allah, and Quran acting as the in-between. And it was only nur upon nur. If you want to try it, you can go for the 3rd. But at least 2 so much you must have. One is your normal door, and one is a Quran where there is no concern at all. There's no fikr, there's no tension. تَذْكِرَةً لِمَنْ يَخْشَى. Then you will see this Quran doing miracles in my life, in your life. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make it happen. In this verse, in the surah, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala discusses in length the incident of Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. The incident when Musa alayhi salam pulled away from Firaun. He pulled his people, the Banu Israel, away from Firaun. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, what and what favors I bestowed upon you. But the nature of the Banu Israel was such, in which Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam made indication towards, that Almighty Allah used the name Banu Israel to give us lessons. That sometimes a father wants to shout his son, but he's feeling shy. So he says, you know that one person, what and what happened to him? Trying to say that, you know what, oh my son, don't do the same thing. But I can't tell you directly. He says, you know that one person. So much of love was for this ummah, that you will find in this Quran, hardly Almighty Allah says, don't do this. Rather Almighty Allah will say, the Banu Israel did this. The Banu Israel did this. Meaning, you don't do it. There was a lot of love for the people of this ummah. A lot of love. A lot of honor. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala speaks about how they were suffering under Fir'auni rule. How they were in punishment. How they were in a condition of complete ignorance. They never knew of an Allah. They were just living in slavery, although they were from a unique family. But when the time came where Musa alayhi salam came and pulled them out of Firaun, and when it was expected at that time they will be thrilled with freedom, but the opposite was found. That when they were given freedom from being forced into evil, And they were now told your doors of freedom to worship Allah are opened. Those very people we found, they said that no, we don't want to worship Allah. We still want slavery in kufr. We never saw that era, but our fathers and our grandfathers saw it. That in South Africa, religion openly was not allowed one time. Especially those that saw the Cape Town era. For about 100 years in South Africa, when people came, religion was banned. During that time, the first Quran was written in prison. First Quran was written in prison. In the fields they would go and they would teach each other. They knew that if the white government at that time, it was not called apartheid, it was before that also. Religion was banned. Then because of the struggles of those people, first masjid was bought by a woman who was non-Muslim who accepted Islam. Her land was given. It wasn't how easy it is today. Then there was that time where religion wasn't banned. But for even an alim to wear a kurta in South Africa was like impossible. That was just around the corner 70, 80 years ago. An alim would come from India. They would tell him, this clothing you're wearing there is not going to work in South Africa. We heard of our elders that they would go to maktab with the long shirt. So they would keep the shirt in the trouser. And when they would go in class, they would just take it out, so the shirt would just come tell you, this is my kurta. And they would wear normal trouser. Why? There was no environment that a man could walk around with a kurta. There was no environment for a burqa. For a woman to put on the niqab was impossible. People would laugh at her. So there was also a time that you were under Firauni rule. Firaun means you oppressed, you suppressed. You can't do it. But then Musa alayhi salam pulls out the Banu Israel from Firaun. And now he takes them in a land where you can do now what you want. No one will laugh. We sound the era. The work of Tabligh started in South Africa and it created such a revolution. That as we grow up, sometimes they ask, you're getting married, the girl's not in parda. Now the question is that she's not in parda. You say, hey, look at that woman, she's not wearing parda. How you don't wear parda? One time is you wearing parda, are you mad? Today we are experiencing in South Africa such a wonderful environment that if a girl is in abaya but not in parda, the people like say she's not in parda. Open freedom now. For the boy to wear kurta, forget to madrasa, for him to wear it in university also is possible. No one can take out his turban. No one can take out the kurta. For the girl to say, I'll wear niqab and I'll go into every environment. I got freedom. They call it freedom of religion, freedom of choice, freedom of speech. Even in school, if they say, I don't want you wearing it, you can take it up to the court now. We found ourselves in the land where Fir'aun could no longer put a hand on top of us. Their own law, which was called freedom, backfired. And suddenly the Muslims found open freedom. I want to fast, you can't stop me. It's not everywhere in the world like that. Look at China at the moment. For them just to eat halal is banned. Just to eat halal. For the restaurant, where we know the restaurants that halal doesn't mean much. 3/4 of the time, the food in that restaurant, although it got halal sign, it's not halal. But there they can't even have the sign halal. They are under Fir'auni rule. We were pulled out of Fir'auni rule. We were put in an environment where you are free. But Quran made indication that when the Banu Israel were pulled out from Fir'auni rule, so many of them still wanted, I want to do what I used to do under Fir'aun. So when Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was taking them, amongst the Bani Israel, there were those who looked at one group who were worshipping cows. So they said to Musa alayhi salam, how wonderful if we could have a God like this. When you read that verse of Quran itself, it makes you shiver. That could someone ever say such a thing? But me and you also sometimes with our practical life, we do say it. That we don't want to be a Christian, but how wonderful if I could have a Christian life. I don't want to be an atheist, but the life of an atheist. What is called, they never called it atheism. If they call it atheism, me and you would have said, hey, I'm shy to say I want it. So what they called it? They called it Westernism. The word just changed. They call it modernism. They call it freedom. And they put it to us in such a wonderful manner that they put it through Hollywood. They put it through magazines. So when you grow up looking at it. I never saw Superman making sajda. So if I want to be Superman, it means there must be no deen. Then I can be a Superman. In that novel, I never saw that girl going to the masjid. She got a boyfriend, he got a girlfriend. Even if they're young, they're going out to the party. So they never said this is atheism. They never said this is Satanism. They said this is life. And when we saw it, we only saw the outside. And it never clicked in us. But what's their religion? They got no religion. They're free. They're heading towards Jahannam, but they were not going to show that part. So because me and you saw it, we were like the Banu Israel. We said, how nice if I could have a life like how they got. Surah Taha took us into the Bani Israel. This Quran was never revealed to you to make life difficult. But the Banu Israel, because they loved dirt, they made life difficult on themselves. Everything in deen is enjoyable. But the man who grew up, you see a child, when the child is born, it's the right of the child that for up to 2 years the mother must breastfeed the child. And in the milk of the mother there is so much of nutrients. Up today doctors are experimenting that they say that milk of the mother got an antibiotic. So diseases which normally they say I must vaccinate the child. They say if the mother is breastfeeding the child, there's no need for a vaccine. Because whatever disease is coming in the time, the body of the mother creates that antibiotic and it goes through to the milk. A child is so weak when he's born, that any small disease is supposed to knock him. But why is it that when a cow is giving milk to its calf, nowadays they say the most strongest and healthiest milk if you can pull from a cow is that milk which is coming out just when a calf is born. They say because in that milk there is that nutrients which normal milk of the cow is not giving us. Because that milk is for that calf. When a mother's milk is going to her baby, it comes with such wonderful miracles. It's natural, it's created. To get that milk away from the child, they created a system of that if you breastfeed, it might make you fat. If you breastfeed, you will not be able to carry on with your work. You mustn't breastfeed very long, which is unnatural because the body wants that amount to come out. And it is the right of the child that don't stop breastfeeding the child. So what they created, you couldn't give young normal milk to the child. The child could die with normal milk. So they created something called powdered milk. Powdered milk had so much of harm in it, but because they just had to put a label passed by the Health Foundation, our normal people on labels meant everything to us. In the world of milk, they said that any milk which is left standing open, milk is one of those sources that pulls the most amount of germs. That is why they say the normal body also, if he wants to drink milk, either drink it ice or drink it hot. Don't drink it normal temperature. Ice will kill germs, hot boiled will kill germs. Normal temperature milk pulls the most amount of germs. So milk for a normal child was a no. They couldn't give it. So they had to create a powdered substance. That thing got so much of harm, but because the mother did not want to give the child. Either she said, hey, I'm going for Umrah, I can't breastfeed. I'm going for Hajj, leave the child now by the mother, granny. So quickly I'll put him onto powdered milk. That child's haqq was destroyed. The amount what the child could get, he will never get. But what happens later on, now the mother comes back, she put the child on powdered milk. Now she wants to again bring the child onto breast milk. So you will see the child won't drink now. Why the child won't drink? Because he already tasted something which was dirty. When he tasted something which is dirty, you can give him a bayan also of how much of health there is in this. He's not going to come to it. Me and you, we also grew up with a lot of dirt. The only thing is a child, he doesn't understand a bayan. Me and you do understand. That because we grew up in dirt, it doesn't mean dirt is clean. It just means I like dirt. So I have to make an effort to pull out of dirt. Otherwise I'll be same like the Banu Israel and say, can't I get a God like they got a God? Which doesn't mean that what they got is clean. It's I grew up with Christianity. I never saw on television a Muslim lifestyle. I never saw in the magazines and novels a Muslim lifestyle. Even the books of Islamic history was boring. There was nothing created which was interesting and wonderful. So I never grew up, but just because I never grew up with it, doesn't mean that what I like is clean and what I don't like is dirty. It just means that what was my haqq, I never got it when I was young. A time is coming now where we're seeing a revolution taking place. Those that are growing up now in Turkey, just recently they had in Turkey, that if you read 40 days salah with Jamaat, then a bicycle for every child. Young children were waking up for Fajr. Young children. So many bicycles were distributed. Mothers had to bring their young children for salah. The child said, Mommy, I want to go. Mommy, I want to go. That child, after getting that bicycle and 40 days salah with Jamaat, that child, it became part of his tabiyat. I'm not missing my salah. Either it was Fajr for 40 days or the 40 days whole day salah. They got an environment now taking place in Turkey where the child is being introduced to real Islam from a young age. When that child grows up, he will not understand how me and you can like kufr. He will be shocked because he grew up with purity. We had to go through the exam, but that we grew up with dirt. But the Banu Israel, one group said, why can't I have a God like that? The other group looked at Musa alayhi salam and said, even if I like that, I won't say it. But so much me and you can do it. That even if I like kufr, even if I like my wife must dress up like a star on Hollywood, even if the woman likes that I want to walk around like someone with no scarf, I want to also doll my hair like how that woman dolled her hair. I want to also have a wedding like how that person got a wedding. You don't blame the individual because we grew up with dirt. But so much we were taught that even if you like the system, don't say it. Be like that second group of Banu Israel who just kept quiet. The one group said it and Musa alayhi salam said, are you all mad? The other group perhaps liked it, but they just kept quiet. So much me and you can do. Even if I like the life of kufr, even if I want to wear that branded jeans, even if I wanted to wear their shoes, their clothing, even if I want to have their haircut, I like it. At the moment I can't do it, I'll get kicked out of madrasa. The day I'm free, I'll do it. Why? I like it. Even if I like it, my exam is that, oh Allah, I won't do it. I won't do it. So much. Then I'm still walking. This is Surah Taha. In Surah Taha, then Allah Tabarak Ta'ala brings us to one highlight of it, which is called the highlight of magic. And perhaps in the past, people wouldn't have understood this issue of magic because we knew magic as the witch, the Wizard of Oz, Merlin the Wizard. That was magic. It was in the books. Harry Potter is magic. But in real life, we never saw magic. Or we never thought we seeing magic. So we just were thrilled with magic. But because we never entered into those dungeons, or we never saw those people coming in front, and they said, I'm a unique magician, let me show you, this whole aeroplane will disappear one shot. We never perhaps saw, nowadays people are seeing because of the internet, Houdini. When we were small, there was something called Houdini, the greatest magician of the world. Thousands went wild for Houdini. Because Houdini, they could lock his hands up. They could put it behind, they could put him in a box. They could throw him into the waters. Now he's supposed to drown in those waters. But Houdini somehow could manage to open up the lock of, then he could open up the box lock. And then he could come to the surface. When a normal man would die, Houdini was not dying. So no one said, I'll worship Houdini. But when Houdini's tricks would come, then everyone wanted to read about it. As the days are going, more and more magicians are coming into the market. And sometimes our own Muslim people are also going for that fare. They say, I don't worship him. But hey, it's unique what he's doing. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a person walks towards a fortune teller, then understand he has made kufr with whatever I brought. It was normally explained, made kufr means he has shown the greatest level of ingratitude. But that word kufr, nowadays we are seeing it. That once they entering that tent, that fortune teller, that magician is taking away their iman. Whether it's one mama in one tent, whether it's Dr. Mama, whether it's one Muslim name, come to me, you lost your beloved, pay 20 rand and I'll find it for you. You want to win the lottery ticket. In the past you would laugh when we would read it. Until the time came where we found our good people are also going out. Because everyone in the ending laughs and says, hey, it doesn't make sense. But instead of throwing that thing in the bin, they put it in the pocket. Because late at night, that person says that, you know what, my husband doesn't like me anymore. So to get him to like me, if Dr. Mama can help, I'm going to visit Dr. Mama. They enter. Good people. Women in parda have entered. People in turban have entered. And when they entered, they were gripped into a world of kufr. What made them grip? They started seeing things happening. Suddenly, Dr. Mama, my one friend said, you know me, I don't like these amils. Hey, but this one is powerful. This one. That's always, I told you, everyone said that same thing, this one. He said, but when I entered, the first thing he told me is that this is your problem. That one sentence, this is your problem, grabbed him immediately. He said, but how he knows this is my problem? So they work with the jinnat. So the jinnat has to know another jinn. If one jinn comes and gives you one headache, knocks at your head, and you go to an amil, and that jinn or the jinn's friend now says, you know, this one, I'm giving him a headache. So all the amil say, you know what, you get headaches. Finished. It comes in the books, in the time of the Banu Israel. The shayateen influenced one man to learn amaliyat. He learnt it. He became an amil, which happens nowadays a lot. Many amils or many pious people, they start learning amaliyat. They get so impressed with their own amaliyat that the jinn grabs them. They don't have control over the jinn. So he was a pious man. He had nothing to do with jinnat. The shayateen made him learn amaliyat. One shaitan came to him in the form of a man and said, I want to teach you one thing to read. He said, I don't want this. He said, maybe he'll help you sometime in life. Maybe. You just read this here when someone is afflicted with the jinn. Read this. All of us want it. That's why we go to the army. That's why Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, here's your Quran, just hold on to Quran. Don't go. Because the day you go, sometimes the very jinn that's knocking you here is pulling you there. Same jinn. So he learned that one, you read this thing. But where I'm going to practice, he just pushed it one side. I don't want it. And then that same jinnat went to an influential family and they afflicted the girl. Now when the girl is screaming, that same jinnat in the form of humans went and told them that, you know, the best amil we found is that one who lives there. The same jinn taught him, the same jinn afflicted, the same jinn brought the family. The family came. He said, I got nothing to do with this. He said, please, the girl is screaming her life out. Suddenly he remembered, hey, I got one thing. Nothing wrong to read one wazifa. What it meant, what it doesn't mean makes no difference. As long as I read it and suddenly, wow, hey, she's right. Suddenly one person you have to cure. How much it happens in the world? One man is not a doctor. Or an alim. People don't like an alim because an alim gives masail. But if that alim can blow on your child and your child comes right, suddenly you'll send hadaya upon hadaya. Because the world don't want masalas, they want things to happen. So suddenly the whole town is talking. This man can cure. And that same jinn now starts hitting more and more families. Suddenly one girl was screaming, now Lord girls are screaming. Girls upon girls are coming in. One pop, suddenly right, another one right. So powerful, so powerful. And then one very influential family is hit. And that girl is brought to him and he blows and she comes right. But as soon as she goes out again it troubles. And it's carrying on now, in and out, in and out. And now comes the time when that girl at night, she's screaming her life. And only when he blows, she comes right. Only when he blows. So they come and say to him that near you, at nights we can't manage next morning to bring her. So we are thinking about building a house near you. So when she screams, you will hear it, and from your place high on top, you park. They used to go higher, they have that monastery, whatever it was. You just read, you blow, she'll come right. No issue. She's living with her brothers. So they put up this small hut there. The girl, when she starts screaming, blow, come right. But how long are you going to stay like that? Until the time came when the brothers said to him that we have to go on a journey. And they always used to go on a journeys. But the girl, instead of being taken back to the village, where are we going to leave her in the village? She'll scream at night. We'll leave her here. If she screams, just blow. Blow. That's it. Now when they were gone, and now when he's blowing, but she's not coming right. So that same jinn made him come downstairs. Same jinn. When he came downstairs and she blew, she went quiet. Now he went back upstairs, he started. The next day, screaming started, blew, nothing happened, he had to come downstairs. From his door he blew, that's all. As he blew, she came right. But the next day from the door, she never come right. He had to now walk towards her hut. He blew, she came right. When the shayateen pull, they don't pull suddenly. It's one WhatsApp. It's one how you. It's one why don't you follow me. It's one flag. It's one just play, fun. I know my limits. Uncle says I'm married. Auntie says I'm also married. You see, this is just play. We know our limits. Just talking. When shaitan pulls, he has never pulled anyone fast. It is a day, he got a lot of time. But the day where you realize that you were once on top, and now you downstairs, and now you're at the door. And the time came where from the door he couldn't, so he had to open the door and blew. And the time came where he had to go into the room. Finally, when he looked at her and he blew, now the thought of that girl registered. Now at night when he's trying to worship, he can't worship, the thought is hitting him. Which sometimes a woman, sometimes a man writes, that at the moment with my own husband I'm not getting any happiness. Or the husband says with my wife, when I look at her I'm thinking of another woman. Because the thought registered. At that time also we answer, even if the thought of another individual is in your mind, even then, don't express it. Which a boy says, I like that girl. And shaitan says to me, just one time smile at her. That's all. Once you smile at her, I'll stop troubling you. Just one time shake her hand. She just wants a shake. One time. That one time never stops. That feeling goes away immediately. But shaitan will never leave you until it comes in Quran, you go into kufr. He will never leave. With that thought also of another girl in your mind, even with that thought, live and die with it. Doesn't matter. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Man ashika, you get gripped with love and you control, you hold. Don't express it. He said, in that you die, you'll be a martyr. Even in that you'll get martyrdom. Now he can't worship, the girl's thought is coming. Carry on worshipping with the girl's thought. Carry on. Even that worship will be regarded as martyrdom for you. Just saying, oh Allah, even if the filthy thought is in, but I'm not going to give vent to it. But he never have someone to tell him that. So when he can't make that ruku sajda anymore, the thought came to him that, it's only one feeling. It's only one desire. You rather go and just take out that desire on the God. And then you can worship Allah how you always worshipped. That's how the person says. I only got one feeling. That girl is ready. That boy is ready. It's only one night, then I know my limits again. Only one night. That one night never ends there. One night never ends. When it starts, it doesn't stop. You have to learn to be able to burn and burn and burn. Hazrat Shah Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Partabgari rahimahullah, one of his most beautiful ash'ar was that person who attained Jannah, O Allah, without restlessness. He says, whatever he may be, Jannati also, but he will never be in that category of those who bled profusely for you. He said, wo tera basmal nahi hai. He said, that one who attained his paradise but never went through restlessness. Perhaps he will be one day a Jannati, but he'll never be in the category of those who bled for Allah profusely. We must be ready for bleeding. We're living in the era of bleeding. I got a lot of desires inside, but I can't give vent to it. Even in my salah, if it troubles me, let it trouble me. I'll die with it troubling me. Oh Allah, that's what I'll bring up in front of you. But he never had someone to say that to him. So finally he entered the room. The girl was sick. It's like how you have this drug, which is called the date drug. When that person is going to that party, he also got a desire for the girl. Whether the girl really got the desire that night to let everything go, who knows? But that boy takes that drug and he puts it in her drink. Whether he's a Muslim boy, whether it's a non-Muslim boy. For which reason we tell mothers that the matric ball is not the ball you once upon a time saw. And university is not the university your husband saw. That environment that that child goes into today, where drugs has now hit the open market, even if that girl is in parda, that drug will make sure she enters into a state where she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know. So it is just one drug, in one drink. And suddenly the next morning that girl knows something happened with her body and she doesn't want to ask what. And that's the beginning of it. So he looked at that girl who was in a state that even if I sleep with her, she won't know. So if she won't know, there's no issue. She won't know. And that's what he did. Where it started, he started with amaliyat. I became an amil. I started visiting an amil, which a lot of aunties go visit the amil. Because an amil can make one foof. It means he is powerful. Powerful means he's pious. Pious means he got no desire for aunties. So he'll say to her, let me see your face. How am I going to glow in your face if I don't see? The auntie lifts up the parda. You see sometimes before entering uncle's room also they lift it up. Then they enter. Uncle is a very pious man because he's powerful. So you say, auntie, I need to put something on your stomach also. Auntie will lift up a whole dress. She won't even ask him, you have to cup me. Can't your wife do the cupping? Uncle can cup. Why? Because uncle is pure. It's happened in the non-Muslim worlds where young girls started complaining, he raped me. But today we found it's happening in the Muslims also. And we're not talking about those who are far, because when shaitan wants to trap, he traps the ones that are good. Shaitan doesn't need a girl who hasn't got niqab to lift up a niqab. He wants the girl who is in parda to take out the parda. Even if it means a amil or an alim to say to the girl, lift up your niqab, shaitan will make it happen there. It's a unique world, where whoever is good has to come into bed. In the past, people would say, don't say this in a bayan. These are all pious people. We all know that there is no majma of pious people anymore. Shaitan has made the good the target, because the bad are already gone. The good is the target today. Today it's the good who's writing, I'm teaching hifz for 15 years. But no one knows my secrets. And those secrets are not baby secrets anymore. We are in that. We have to learn to bleed. He couldn't bleed only. He had no one to tell him bleed. He did what he did on the girl. He went back, he took his bath. Then after a few days, shaitan came with the thought that what if she fell pregnant? What if she fell pregnant? Away she'll fall pregnant. But what if? Now it's troubling him. What if? The brothers will come back. What if she fell pregnant? After a while they'll realize, hey, something happened, she's pregnant. The whole story will come out. What do you do now to save your honor? Don't we read in the newspapers every now and then someone got involved? Now it comes in his mind, I just get rid. Either kill the mistress or kill the wife, kill someone. The story won't come out. When shaitan pulls, he doesn't stop anywhere. It just carries on one after the other. Finally it came in his mind, the girl is screaming at night. The brothers will believe whatever story you say. All you have to say to them is what? That one night she screamed, then she went quiet. So the jinnat killed her, so what? So he went and he killed the girl. Whether he strangled her or how he killed her, somehow he killed her. And she was quiet. And he stayed normal. And the brothers came and then they started screaming from up. He said, what happened? He said, she's dead. He said, she's dead. He said, one night I wondered why she went quiet. I thought she's cured after that. So the brothers also thanked him for the service. And then you go. But you think shaitan will ever leave? Now shaitan is in everyone's mind. 4 brothers, everyone has the same dream. That this man strangled her. You don't believe it, go and see, you'll see marks by the neck. She never died because of a jinn. 4 brothers, when you have same dream, one brother now is shy to tell the other brother. But what a funny, stupid dream. That's a pious man of the town. Powerful. But sometimes you have the one guy, he's not shy of anything. You say, yeah, I had a unique dream last night. Otherwise, I had same dream. 4 dreams the same. You say, definitely it's from God. But how do you know? Just see the body. So they will go, if the body was buried, they just took it out. Suddenly, how they saw in the dream, they saw the mark. There was a mark. Now you go, now you pull him down, now they start hitting him. Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anh narrated this waqiyah of the people of the past. It wasn't our era. At that time where shaitan could bring a man of piety down to the ground. Down to the ground. You think shaitan has got any weaker with the passing of years? He's gained such strength in our era. If you are not ready to bleed for Allah, you're not going to make it through this journey. You have to be ready to become a basmal. Basmal means bleeding profusely is they take the chicken. And the man who's slaughtering the chicken cuts it, and before he makes the full cut, the chicken jumps out. And now the chicken is running around. It's just bleeding, but it's alive. Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Bartagari said, we're not asking you to become the moth that sees that light and flies to the light. And it just burns and it falls to the ground. And now it moves the next morning like the sea and then it's dead. He said, in becoming that moth, there's no perfection at all for you. He said, I am asking you to become that one who loves, and while he's living is dying. He says, mar ke jeena, to love dying. He said, that's your kamal into his life. I must be ready to die every day with whatever thought. I'll sleep with it, I'll wake up with it. The WhatsApp will tell me, send one message, I'm not sending that message. I deleted my WhatsApp, I deleted my Facebook. I'll have to learn to pull because shaitan is also pulling. And if I take one step towards him, he doesn't say, bas. Tell kufr, he will not leave us. The man is brought down, he's taken in the streets, he admits to what the crime he did. What a man, where he was. They take him parading around. His face is blackened. Now a date is set when he will be executed. Before his execution, in that very jail, that same shaitan in the form of a man will come and say to him, what happened to you? You remember me? I don't remember you. He says, I'm that one who once upon a time taught you this wazifa. I never thought you were going to use it for filthy acts. You're supposed to use it to find Allah. What you did. So he looks down. He says, can you help me out? He says, I got one more wazifa. This wazifa can make everyone forget what happened. Everyone will forget. And suddenly you just walk out. When man is in a spot, he can even talk a lie, like how the Amil sometimes lies. Sometimes the Amil will go to the extent of saying, you know who's making the jadoo on you. Normally in the past it would be your sister-in-law. We are reached that time where they will say it's your husband. Say, my husband. But he's the one paying for the treatments. You say, actually he's involved with another woman. You don't see how he deletes his messages. Everyone deletes messages. Because everyone got his secrets. But suddenly that wife, even if poor husband wasn't deleting, she caught him deleting. She just looked. So he saw a funny telecom message, he deleted. But for her, what you deleted? She said, telecom. Stupid. Why you deleted it? No, I always deleted it. Suddenly the war starts. And auntie spoke the truth. My husband is making the jadoo on. So what do? Say, you must do this. Counter-attack. Suddenly, own husband and wife, each one. Suddenly he's getting pain. He's getting pain, he goes to that same Amil because he's paying for her treatment. He lands up by that Amila. So who's making jadoo on your wife? It's happened in the past, it's happening today. When you will fall in, so that man look down, he's shy. He says one thing, everyone will forget it. And our people believe it also. I want that, everything will happen. All my debts will go away. My husband will come back to me. Everything will just happen right. So he says, what must I do for it? And that's what happens today. When that Amil gives that one amal, Sometimes the man looks at that amal and he sees one shaitani head there also. He sees Ya Ali written on the one side. He sees Ya Ghawth written on the other side. Things which he would never have read before. Oh Ali, oh Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jailani, you help me, you help me. Then there's one name of one Hindu god, you help me. Could be anything written. The person looks at it also feels a little bit heavy. Heavy signs are here, but because he's doing the work. So he told him, all you have to do is, when they come, I just need you to drop your head in front of me. Because you can't make sajda obviously. And dropping the head is no guna. Just drop your head. I will be standing there when that man comes to pull that, and then your neck you will start strangling. They pull that thing and you just go up in the air and it's killing you and you'll die. When that man comes to pull that thing, I will be there. All I need you to do at that time is drop your head. Drop your head, just drop it. And immediately everything will be forgotten. And then they'll ask you, what are you doing here? Why did we put you here? Hey, so sorry, and they'll open you up. And when that last minute is there, when you see death coming, no one wants to die. When a man sees problems, when the woman sees problems, that's when we run to kufr. But you think shaitan will ever help? He's the one who brought us into the kufr. So at that time, now thinking, must I do it, kufr, but I'll make tawbah again. Like how everyone says, I'll make the tawbah after that. At that time, we put his head. He just dropped the head. And when he dropped his head, and he expected that everything to stop, because you trust shaitan, I trusted, you trust him. At that time, the man pulled, and his body went up in the air. And as he started, his soul came out. The last amal he did before his soul came out was kufr. Under this verse, Abdullah bin Abbas explained this incident. كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ كْفُرْ. That shaitan, when he says to man, make kufr, فَلَمَّا كَفَرَ, and when he does the act of kufr, he says, إِنِّي بَرِي, I got nothing to do with you. I fear Allah. You're a stupid person. From there he brought them, from the top he brought them to the bottom. Surah Taha came to say, don't make the mistake that if you grow up in dirt, even if you love dirt, don't go towards it. Come back to purity. On the last page of the surah, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ. That, oh man, don't let your eye waver to the enjoyments we have given them. Zaharat al-hayat dunya, it is an enjoyment and an adornment of this world. Linaftinahum fi. We have only given it so that we can take their imtihan in it. The more they got, the more they forgot Allah. That person, I'm supposed to look at him and I say, how sad. Maybe if he never had that rich life, he would have learned of Allah. But in that environment of Disneyland, where he is going to learn of Allah? But instead of that, I looked at it and said, I wish I had the exam he got. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, وَرِزْقُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرُ وَأَبْقَى. Wallah, what Allah will give you as sustenance. Not speaking about the year after, that's paradise, Jannah. Speaking about in this world. If it is happiness you're looking for in the world of Christianity and Satanism, Almighty Allah says, I promise you I can give you that happiness in the world of Islam. وَرِزْقُ رَبِّكَ, the sustenance of your Allah. Khair is much, much better. وَأَبْقَى, abqa means it remains. The drug gives you a sudden level of ecstasy and then you're gone. It loses itself faster than it came. Disneyland puts you up and then it brings you down. The movie gives you 1 hour thrill and then forget. That WhatsApp, you filled with it, you had the affair, you slept with the girl. It was 5 days, 10 days of enjoyment. After that, for the next 5 years, there's no enjoyment. When Allah gives a sustenance, khair, it comes much better and it remains. While you are alive, you will be happy. When you die, you will be happy. وَرِزْقُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرُ وَأَبْقَى. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala let us take benefit from Quran. Finally, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, قُلْ كُلٌّ مُتَرَبِّسٌ فَتَرَبَّسُوا. Understand, everyone is waiting. Where you say, how long must I make sabr? Everyone has to make sabr. They also have to make sabr. You also have to make. فَسَتَعْلَمُونَ مَنْ أَصْحَابُ الصِّرَاطِ السَّوِيِّ وَمَنِ اهْتَدَى. And a day will come where you will understand very well who walked the straight road guided and who hit out of the road. May Allah Tabarak keep us on that straight road, no matter how hard it is. It is kamal for us, it's an enjoyment for us. Mar ke jeena. Oh Allah, I love dying. I love dying. If I have to get Jannah without being restless, then oh Allah, I will never be in that book of those who were your basmals, who bled for you. I'll be ready to bleed. May Allah Pak make me amongst those that are ready to bleed. Make you amongst those. Wa akhiru da'wana.